Yo, what is up everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to go over how to color grade your footage in Final Cut Pro 10. Now this video is going to be more of like an intermediate guide to color grading. I'm in no way an expert, but I want to go over a couple tips and tricks that can help make your video stand out, and just a couple of things you want to make sure you do, or else your entire image is going to look completely off. Again, this is a complete like intermediate guide. I'm in no way saying like I'm an expert or a professional color, so take everything I say kind of with a grain of salt. The first thing I want to do is I want to head over here to window right here. I want to go to workspace right here, and then I want to go to color and effects right here. After I'm in color and effects, I want to go to view right here, and I want to click on this window right here, and then I'm going to go over here, make sure I'm in waveform, and then I want to go over to Luma right here. This is basically my first setup for starting to color grade. So the first thing I want to do is basically adjust the highlights and the shadows. Basically make sure my image isn't too dark or too bright. So what I'm going to do is head over here, and I'm going to add a color wheel right here. So I'm going to give you like a basic understanding of this scope right here. As you can see, 25 to 75 is the midtones, 0 is the shadows, and 100 is the highlights. Basically, at the end of the day, you don't want it to go below 0 and you don't want it to go below 100. So I click on this image right here. As you can see, it's teetering really close to 0. So I'm going to take the shadows and I'm going to bring the shadows up just a little bit right here. And as you can see, the highlights are about at 75 or below 75. So I'm going to bring the highlights up to about 75 right there. Again, just to keep in mind, this is just an example. You can go more in depth. But as you see the highlights, you bring the highlights up just a little bit. That might be a little bit too bright, but you want to keep it closer, and you want to probably have it between 75 and 100, and you want the shadows to stay above 0. The most important part, if it goes below 0, you're going to crush the blacks. If it goes above 100, you're going to blow out the highlights. So you want to make sure you keep it in this range right here, or else your video is going to fall apart. The next thing I want to go over is the RGB Parade. So head over here to waveform. I'll go to RGB Parade right here. Now for the RGB Parade, I like using the color curves. So I'll add a color curve right here. So you can see I'll just break down how this works. So you have the whites, the highlights, the midtones, the shadows, and the blacks. So the whites, highlights, midtones, shadows, and blacks, whites, highlights, midtones, and shadows right here. So if we look at this image right here, and you can do the same thing with Luma right here. So if we look at the image right here, let's start with the red first. As you can see, the shadows of the red are a little bit too low. So let's take the shadows and let's just increase the shadows a little right here. If we can take the highlights of the red, but move the highlights up a little bit. As you can see right here, we have this thing over 100. So I'm going to go over to true white, and I'm going to drag that below 100 right here. The highlights, maybe we could increase the green highlights just a little bit right here. We could take the blue shadows, and we could increase the blue shadows and maybe increase the blue highlights right there. Overall, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make all three of these levels even. Of course, unless you're trying to achieve a certain look, then by all means, crank one over the other, but you're trying to do your best to keep all of these waveforms or these RGB Parade. You want to keep them level for the most part. The next thing you want to do is you want to head over to view, and you want to click on this icon right here. And as you can see here, you have right here is you want the Vectorscope right here, and then you just have an Luma Waveform right here. What you want to do is you want to go to the crop right here, and all I'm going to do right here is I'm going to just crop into the skin. Now there is no magical formula to color correct skin. If you shot it in camera bad, or you have like very white skin, you're not going to be able to make yourself look super nice. But I just want to go over a couple things that'll definitely help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over here. I'm going to add a color wheel right here, and two main things you want to keep in mind. You want to make sure the skins fall in your midtones. So you want to make sure the midtones fall between 25 and 75. So we could even decrease the midtones ever so slightly right there. And then you want to make sure that your skin lines on the skin tone line, for the most part, it's pretty good right here. So we'll go ahead and just leave it. Obviously, you could do even more color correction, but just for the sake of the tutorial, it's pretty close to the skin line. Of course, if it was like really blue, then you could just drag in the opposite direction of blue. You could just change the whatever color is leaning towards, you want to go in the opposite direction, but you want to make sure that it lands on the skin line right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just reset it right there. Now another helpful tool, I'll go to this right here, and I'm going to go over here to the chroma right here, and this just has to do with the saturation. So if I head over here to the color board right here, I go to the saturation, I can increase or decrease the saturation of the highlights, midtones, shadows. I think overall it definitely looks a little desaturated, so I'm going to maybe increase the saturation, just a little bit, just for the sake of the video. That's just what you can do. Overall it looks a little orangey, so a little red, so I'm going to go ahead and maybe decrease the highlights, the red highlights a little bit. But again, this is just an example, and keep in mind I have an orange light right here, an orange light right here, and an orange light right here. So overall my image is going to be a little bit warmer than if I turned off all 3 of those lights right there. So obviously keep that in mind. If you have like RGB lights, there's going to be a little bit of color to spill into the image right there. That's just something to keep in mind. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a color preset just with all the effects we have right here. So here are all color wheel 1, color curve 1, color wheel 2, and then color board 1 right here. So we'll head over here, go to save effects preset right here, and I'll just call this LUT 1 right here. Select which ones you want and click on save right here. Now go ahead, I'm just going to go back to the window right here, go to workspaces, and I'm going to go to default right here. Now if I click on this clip right here, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete all of these corrections that we've done. As you can see, the image starts to get look really bad once you take away all of the color correction right there. Now another really helpful tool in Final Cut Pro 10 is the adjustment layer. So if I take the adjustment layer right here, this is just a free plugin from Ryan Nagel right here. If I take this adjustment layer right here, it basically means anything I put on top of that adjustment layer is going to affect every clip below it. So if I head over here, I'll scroll down to color right here, and then let's look for the preset we created, so LUT 1. I'm going to take this LUT and I'm just going to apply it onto the adjustment layer right here. So as you can see, before, after, it looks a little brighter, it looks a little bit nicer. Again, color correcting, color grading is all personal preference. This is just an example. I would probably spend a lot more time, going in depth and making sure everything is perfect. But in this video, I kind of want to give you an overarching idea of how to color grade in Final Cut. As you can see, there you go. That adjustment layer basically allows us to color grade everything below it. And now we don't have to put the effects on the clip. They can just all be on the adjustment layer. So if I delete the adjustment layer, there we go. All of the effects are gone right there. Another really helpful tool is LUTS. So if I head on this clip right here, I'm going to go over here and I'll go ahead and scroll down to custom LUT. If I apply a custom LUT right here, so I'll go ahead and take the LUT right here, and then what you want to do right here is you want to go to, as you see right here, choose custom LUT, and then type in the name of the LUT that you downloaded right there. So I'll click on it right here and then click on open right here. If I take the LUT right here, I can go ahead and now I can change it to any LUT that I want right here, and there we go. That's what it looks like right here. Obviously there's no color grading, but there we go. That's the custom LUT right here. And you can just mess with a whole bunch of different LUTs until you get the effect you want. I will put the link to that LUTs pack down in the description below. I believe it costs about $20. Another helpful tool in Final Cut is automatic color grading. Now if I head over here, I can go ahead and click on either match color, so match it with another clip, or I can click over here and click on balance color. As you can see, Final Cut will basically kind of automatically color grade it right here. So like with white balance and everything like that, selecting the balance color icon right here can definitely be really helpful, and it maybe might be something you want to do at the beginning, and then you can go ahead and tweak something. But it's definitely really nice to be able to just balance color, and Final Cut will do the best it can to automatically color grade it. And then like I said before, you can add some LUTs and go in and fix some of the color grading. Another helpful tool in Final Cut is the range check tool. So if I go over here, click on view, and then I can click on here range check. So you can see Luma right here, there's no zebra pattern, so nothing is overexposed. If I head over here to the saturation right here, click on saturation, as you can see there's a little bit of a zebra pattern right here, so you can adjust the saturation. But for the most part, you're not really going to fix that because it's a light, so there's not really much you're going to fix that without desaturating the entire image. You just want to make sure there's none of those zebra patterns on your your face, because that means you're overexposed. But for the most part, there's not really much you can do about that. But this range selection tool can definitely be really helpful. Just like before you export it, just put on the range selection tool. Just make sure nothing is being overexposed and there's no zebra patterns on your footage, and then for the most part, 9 times out of 10 you should be good to go. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it helpful and informative. If you're new to this channel, I upload Final Cut Pro 10 tutorials every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you enjoy these types of videos, consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, Final Cut Pro 10 tutorial playlist with over 230 Final Cut Pro 10 tutorials. See you in the next one. Peace.